Foxconn founder Terry Gou, one of Taiwan's most successful tycoons, is keeping quiet. No one knows if he will give up his dream of becoming president, and the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, has told him in a crushing manner that he must give up. A week ago, on October 22nd, the Chinese official media Global Times reported that Apple's main supplier, Foxconn, is being investigated in several places in China. The tax department has been carrying out audits on Foxconn Group's key enterprises in Guangdong, Jiangsu, and other provinces in accordance with the law, while the Natural Resources Department has been conducting on-site investigations on the land use of Foxconn's key enterprises in Henan and Hebei. Foxconn's parent company, Hon Hai, officially released a statement that afternoon saying, "Legal compliance is the basic principle of Hon Hai around the world. The group will actively cooperate with the relevant units in their operations." However, Phi, a subsidiary of Hon Hai listed on China's A-share market, dropped 10.02% on October 23rd. Days before the investigation was officially announced, Apple CEO Tim Cook had just traveled to China. Kenneth Jarrett, a senior advisor at Albright Stonebridge Group, a corporate advisory firm, said, "Foxconn is a key component in Apple's supply chain in China. Anything that jeopardizes Foxconn's foothold and growth in China, even if it has nothing to do with Apple, will be a headache for Apple. It looks like Apple will have to take a gamble on its belief of being too big to fail in China. Politics to politics and economics to economics, the kind of thinking that Western companies, including Apple, have said is naive in our opinion. When dealing with the CCP, businessmen need to be aware of the CCP's unique values and the risks that come with them. Why? Let's explore the CCP's mentality." Taiwan's presidential election will be held on January 13th, 2024. Terry Gou announced in early October that he had collected over 300,000 signatures exceeding the threshold, making him eligible to run as an independent candidate. Gou resigned as chairman of Foxconn in 2019 because he wanted to run for president but still holds a 12.6% stake in the company. The CCP has launched an investigation into Foxconn at this time. Analysts from all walks of life believe that it meant to force Gou to withdraw from the election. The Global Times quoted an unnamed expert as saying, "Guo's candidacy is his right, but it does objectively create a situation that favors the DPP. The DPP is currently the ruling party in Taiwan." Taiwan's election has three camps. DPP, the Democratic Progressive Party, is the one currently in power. It's known as the Green Camp, and its candidate is Vice President Lai Ching-te, who holds the strongest anti-communist position. KMT, the Kuomintang, is the largest opposition camp, also known as the Blue Camp, which has long enjoyed good relations with the CCP. TPP, Taiwan's People's Party, is a centrist political party, also known as the White Camp, which has a relatively close relationship with the CCP. According to the latest poll released by the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation on October 23rd, the Green Camp obtained a support rate of 29.7%, topping the list. The White Camp has a support rate of 25.6%, and the Blue Camp is at 21.1%. For the CCP, the last thing they want to see is a victory for the Green Camp.
大家都看得非常清楚，赖清德
It's clear to everyone that Lai Ching-te engages in Taiwan secessionist activities in the name of peace, which is shameless. Taiwan independence means war. So where is the peace? The Taiwan question is purely China's internal affair, not an international question at all. The 1992 consensus is the common political foundation for cross-strait dialogue and negotiations. It is a blatant act of deception that Lai attempts to seek Taiwan independence by force or through external forces while engaging in empty talks about cross-strait dialogue and cooperation. As pointed out by media professionals in Taiwan, Lai is evolving from a Taiwan separation madman to a Taiwan separation deceiver. This commentary hits the nail on the head and is quite accurate. We believe that the majority of the fellow citizens in Taiwan have a clear understanding of this.
Lai Ching-te is currently leading the polls, but the gap between the three camps is not too much. The CCP hopes that the blue camp can turn the situation around through integration within itself or by joining forces with the white camp. If Terry Gou joins the election independently after completing the civic co-signing, it will form a four-way race. Public opinion polls show that the green camp support rate is 26.5%, ranking first. The white camp is 21.7%, the blue camp is 20.2%, Terry Gou 12.4%. 11.4% are undecided, and 7.7% don't know, don't have an opinion. Judging from the poll, if Guo joins the race, it will further divert the votes of the non-green camp. That is, taking votes from the blue and white camps.
Many analysts believe that the CCP does not want Terry Gou to run for election. This analysis is not groundless, because Wang Zaishi, the former deputy director of the Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council, was interviewed at the end of August this year. He clearly said that Terry Gou would run for election. It just lets the DPP take advantages, because it further divides the opposition alliance.
On August 30th, an official from China's Taiwan Affairs Office accompanied the KMT, the vice chairman of the Blue Camp, on a visit to a scenic spot in mainland China. He mentioned that someone had breached trust, forgetting righteousness and being condemned by the heavens and the people altogether. It was taken as a reference to Terry Gou. For the Beijing government, the Blue Camp, the KMT, with little chance of winning the presidential election, hopes to gain more seats in the other important election next year, the election of the legislators. The impact of Guo's vote splitting might lead to a situation where the KMT loses both the presidential and legislative elections. Therefore, the CCP needs to make a move at this moment. The 113 members of Taiwan's legislative yuan have much power. They are responsible for legislating or amending Taiwan's laws, and also have a lot of power to speak and supervise the central government's policies and budgets, such as military procurement and healthcare policies. Terry Gou founded Hanhai in 1974, established Foxconn in 1985, and then set up factories in mainland China, gradually establishing his OEM empire. According to Forbes, he has become Taiwan's richest man 6 times in the past 20 years, with a reported wealth of more than US $6.2 billion. The 72-year-old Terry Gou dreamed of becoming president in 2016. It was reported that he was inspired by the US presidential election at that time. He first tried in 2019 and failed. After losing the KMT nomination in the current election but still feeling like trying, Gou formally announced his candidacy as an independent at the end of August 2023. In the course of his candidacy, Gou played the economic card, claiming that the time for entrepreneurs to rule the country has come. He assured that with his financial knowledge and business skills, he could double Taiwan's economic growth rate from the next fiscal year onwards. And through economic and technological development, he would make Taiwan overtake Singapore to become the richest in Asia, with the highest per capita GDP in the region within 20 years. Since Gou announced his candidacy, the CCP must have lobbied him both tactically and coercively, demanding him to take the overall situation into consideration. But Gou hasn't budged. Not only has Gou reached the 290,000 signature threshold ahead of schedule, but the deputy candidate he brought in has also obtained a certificate of renunciation of her U.S. citizenship in a seemingly impossibly short period of time. Gou had said at a press conference when announcing his candidacy on August 28th, "If the Chinese Communist regime says, if you don't listen to me, we would confiscate Hanhai assets of yours, I would say, yes, please do it. If by sacrificing my personal assets it can stop it from attacking Taiwan, I am willing to start over again as a mold worker." Gou advocates that Taiwan needs to negotiate with Beijing on the basis of the One China framework, and he's concerned about Taiwan's unhealthy dependence on the U.S. He argued that for Taiwan's current leader to abandon the One China framework would dramatically increase the threat of war, while also damaging Taiwan's economy and making the country less secure. The problem is that his chances of winning are slim. The CCP's mentality is well known to the self-media practitioners in mainland China. Here is an analysis offered by a self-media person of the CCP on Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok. Although the blue-white partnership has reached an impasse, a breakthrough is still possible. While the staff of both sides are in contact, several candidates are engaging and are even meeting privately to resolve things that can be resolved first. It means that the two sides are still actively pushing towards the goal of joining hands. On the surface, there is a pool of stagnant water, but underneath there are undercurrents. If the blue and white camps don't join hands, or if the alliance isn't successful, the Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, will once again take everything away, and it'll be able to rule majority for the third time on the island. If the alliance is successful, even if it isn't ideal, the alliance will have a hold on Lai Ching-te's campaign. Alternatively, it could snatch a majority of seats in the Taiwan legislature, ending the DPP's majority rule and imposing an effective check on the DPP's Taiwan independence forces. It's not only conducive to easing the situation in the Taiwan Strait, but also in line with the majority of public opinion on the island. In other words, there is still room for change. In the beginning, Terry Gou made a bold statement that he wouldn't care if China took away Han Hai's assets and that he would stand in the election until the end. However, the timing, location, and people are all not on his side. With all these facts in front of him, it is no longer a question of whether he is allowed to run in the election, but rather he has to consider whether or not he should run in the election, and whether he really wants to go on with the election, making himself a loser on both sides. In this regard, Lai Ching-te urged China not to put pressure on Taiwanese business people during the election period. During an election, China does not need to put pressure on Taiwanese companies, demanding they declare a position, or even that they directly support a candidate they prefer, because this is a behavior where both sides can only lose. Lai Ching-te was born in a poor, third-class rural household. He studied medicine at National Taiwan University and received a master's degree in public health from Harvard University in 2003. In 1996, during the Taiwan Strait missile crisis, he officially crossed the line and gave up medicine to pursue a career in politics. But over the years, he has maintained his professional habit as a general practitioner. After he was elected as a Tainan city legislator in 1998, he accumulated more than 100,000 patient service records in the local community. In 2013, when he heard an announcement on a high-speed rail that a doctor was needed to rescue a passenger, he immediately went to the sick passenger to help out. During his tenure as mayor of Tainan, he ranked first in Taiwan in terms of satisfaction with his administration. Taiwanese media compiled his financial declaration records over the years and found that he and his wife were just like the general public, carrying a mortgage from a young age and then gradually paying it off. In November 2019, during the anti-extradition movement in Hong Kong, Taiwan's democratic system faced an unprecedented threat. Lai Ching-te and Tsai Ing-wen partnered for the presidential election. The pair won a historic 8.17 million votes. In January 2023, Lai Ching-te began to serve as chairman of the Democratic Progressive Party concurrently. In 2019, Lai Ching-te stated that the DPP government stance is anti-communist, not anti-China, and anti-annexation. He believes that the CCP's suppression of the Chinese people is more severe now than it was 30 years ago. Taiwan must firmly stand in the democratic camp, play an active role in the Indo-Pacific strategy, prevent the expansion of communist forces, and help promote the values of democracy, freedom, and human rights to mainland China. He advocates working together to help China democratize within the international value system and achieving long-term peace across the Taiwan Strait. Over the past few decades, Foxconn has set up factories all over China as OEMs for Apple, driving the development of regional industries and helping China earn foreign exchange. It's fair to say that it has contributed significantly to China's economic takeoff. Since the official announcement of the audit of Foxconn factories, a large number of Foxconn employees have started to panic.
自从官方宣布稽查富士康工厂后，
Foxconn is under investigation, and a large number of employees have started to panic. Some employees say, "What's wrong with Foxconn lately? Since yesterday, they've stopped hiring. If things go on like this, what are we going to do as laborers?" After Foxconn gets investigated, the onlookers seem delighted. But what about the millions of unemployed workers? Alas, I have been waiting for the news of the bailout of the A-share market. I didn't get any good news about the bailout, but instead I got the news unexpectedly that Foxconn was being audited. The number of employees within Foxconn is now close to 2 million, with a conservative estimate of between 1.2 million and 2 million. If we count the employees of its suppliers, logistics, upstream and downstream enterprises, it's possible to be more than 3 to 5 million. It's certainly a good thing that he gets what he deserves legally, right? It's encouraging, isn't it? However, you still need to think it through. What will happen to the millions of unemployed people? You have to work out some measures in advance. You can't say that there isn't even a job available to make a screw and you send those people to deliver takeout or courier work, can you? How can there be so many people eating takeout? Foxconn is being suppressed, and surely little pinks came out to applaud. Great news, guys. Do you remember the incident last year when tens of thousands of employees walked back to their hometowns in Zhengzhou? That's right, it's this Foxconn. It's now being investigated. The investigation not only deals with key companies in Guangzhou, Jiangsu, and other places, but also includes those in Henan, Hebei, and other places. The land use situation of Foxconn subsidiaries is also being investigated. As for why it is being investigated, I believe everyone is aware of it. Last year, there were a lot of real estate hosts in Zhengzhou who jumped out to whitewash Foxconn, saying that Zhengzhou couldn't live without Foxconn. But when it comes to Mr. Gou, I think he's proving to us with his actions what it means to pick up a rice bowl to eat and put it down to smash the pot that makes the food. For an entrepreneur, while you are enjoying the support of policies and the dividends of the development of the times, you should bear corresponding social responsibilities. But Boss Gou isn't content with doing business. He wants to cross the line and engage in politics. Not only aren't you grateful, you also want to be an equal. Finally, let me say this. Zhengzhou can do without Foxconn, but China cannot do without Taiwan. Anyone who obstructs our unification will be hunted down, no matter where they are. This kind of comment makes the family members of Foxconn employees really angry. You're such a righteous anchor, and you even talked about hunting down those no matter how far they are. When Foxconn is gone, can you provide jobs for hundreds of thousands of people? Sure, there might be something wrong with Gou's position, but what does that have to do with the employees? As far as private enterprises are concerned, those that can pay the 5 insurance premiums and pay wages on time every month have already beaten 90% of the enterprises in Zhengzhou. My job is to sell homes in the Bay Area, and my wife works at Foxconn. Most of the people living in the Bay Area have connections with Foxconn. Although Foxconn has some bad things going for it, it does feed many people. Although rice porridge isn't as good as meat, it feeds the family. In the past 2 years after losing one's job, it has become even difficult to feed and clothe the family. If you want to do a tax audit, you should check the real estate market. For certain projects like the bridge, you'll surely find something there. I'll say this, I can't guarantee for other areas, but you can rest assured that Foxconn in the Bay Area has no problem, and you might have to give them a reward for excellence in business in the end. Whether or not the CCP's actions will force Gou out of the election is uncertain. In our opinion, it will harm the CCP itself greatly. It could even turn out to be another case of shooting one's own feet. First, as China's economy is in a downturn and the unemployment rate remains high, what will happen to the millions of Foxconn employees after the crackdown? How can they make a living? These are things that this Red Party seems not to have cared about. But the Chinese people will be more concerned about the coming election in Taiwan, which will make them ponder the legitimacy of the CCP's rule. More and more unemployed people will be awakened to see who the real enemy of this country and the Chinese nation is. Second, China is facing the plight of foreign capital fleeing. Now that even Gua is being targeted, who or what else can be targeted? This will not only have a chilling effect business-wise, but will also cast a big shadow on the hearts of these Taiwan business people. That is, if they do business in China, they may be raided at any time. It'll surely accelerate the withdrawal of Taiwanese businessmen from China. It will probably accelerate the massive withdrawal of global enterprises from China as well. For many investors, no matter how big or tempting the Chinese market is, it isn't worthwhile to expose them to the risk of prison or a great risk to such an extent. Finally, the CCP's interference in Taiwan's politics has become routine. China's Taiwan Affairs Office and China's official media have been spreading the theory that if the DPP stays in power, it'll bring catastrophe to Taiwan. They try to influence Taiwan's public opinion and the direction of international public opinion this way. Their electioneering tactics can be divided into 3 types of tactics: overt, covert, and gray areas. The overt ones are the policies or measures initiated by the CCP, including military intimidation, political suppression, economic sanctions, and diplomatic isolation. The covert ones refers to the funds infiltrated into all areas of Taiwan's underground personnel, especially those who chained together with the self-media and new media and used algorithms to carry out the electioneering cognitive warfare on the internet. The gray area refers to operation between public and private, international and domestic, official or private, groups or individuals, facts and rumors, focusing on the occasions when the CCP communicates with the international community and cross-strait exchanges. For Taiwan voters, the overt ones are easy to identify, while the covert and gray ones are difficult to detect. This time, the CCP has used the Foxconn probe to threaten and blatantly intervene in Taiwan's election. Will this provoke a strong backlash from the Taiwanese people?